Okay, how's that?
No, that's better. And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. It's Tuesday, Facebook Live. It's 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern, 1 a.m. in Italy. What time is it? 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. here in Costa Rica, 8:30 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. Wednesday morning in different parts of Australia. And it's Facebook Live. Hi, everyone. Gosh, it feels so long since the last time we were together. It's been a week, but so much has happened. I think most of you know, but I'm doing Coffees with Dr. Tom on Monday mornings at 9 o'clock Pacific. And we had a really good one yesterday. I think they're all good, but we had a really good one yesterday talking about a number of protective markers that you can do during this time of viral exposure. And they're all available at theDr.com/coffee. And they're also on Facebook. And are they on our YouTube page? They're also on our YouTube page. So all of that is there. And that's all the commercial stuff I had to do today. So we've got a great guest. Autumn is with Paleo Valley, right? Paleo Valley, which a couple of years ago, I decided to, and my team decided, let's have a day with Dr. Tom. And we announced it, and we had 14 people. It sold out just immediately that flew to San Diego for a full day and a half with me. And then because it sold out so quickly, we said, well, we'll do the next weekend. And that sold out within 2 days. And so we had 2 weekends back to back of people together in San Diego. And there were a couple of vendors who supported us during that event by giving us some stuff, you know, for everybody. And Paleo Valley was one of them. And when I asked Marzi today, so, okay, Paleo Valley? Oh, you mean the people that, at our Four Pillars event. And they've got really good stuff. So I'm really happy that we're here together today. And I get to share this information about their company and their services and what they do. And before we get into that, and I'll welcome Autumn officially, I just want to give a shout out here. We've got, Laura, you're the first one on. Laura from our team is here. And she said, love Paleo Valley products, which is really great to see. So Autumn, welcome to Facebook Live.
Thank you for having me. I'm such a big fan of yours, and we love to support you in any way we can. I'm just grateful to be here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So tell us about Paleo Valley. How did you guys get started?
Yes. So basically, I was a fitness trainer for Tracy Anderson back when I was living in Los Angeles. And I've always kind of been a wellness enthusiast, a fitness enthusiast, I guess, more in my youth. Right. But what happened is I had, I was very fit, but I also had digestive issues, skin issues, anxiety issues, even though I was very fit. And so my husband, when we finally moved in together, he started to notice it because I always put on a happy face. I kind of was that person who just persevered because countless doctors and experts weren't able to find solutions for me as a youngster. So I kind of just learned to manage it. And when we moved in together, he just wanted better for me. And he just said, we're going to find a solution for you. And so he got online, and this was a decade ago, and found the paleo diet. And I was very reticent, of course, because I had tried so many other things. We tried it. It worked. In 30 days, my digestive issues were gone. And, wow. It's been a little bit longer for the skin issues, and we had to make a few other connections and the anxiety. But I became so inspired because I finally had this missing piece, and I decided I wanted to help people get well, not just fit. So I went back to school, got my master's. And what I was realizing is I'm a busy, mom. I love to travel. And what was missing in the space was just the tools for people to make this kind of lifestyle realistic if you didn't want to spend every day in the kitchen cooking, which I love it if you can do that. But not everyone can do that. And so we wanted to create high quality options so that people could live this lifestyle and do whatever else they wanted to do with their beautiful lives.
That's marvelous. And you said something at the beginning of that I think everyone needs to pick up on. And that is when your bones and your muscles are toned, you're not necessarily healthy. your bones and muscles are fit and you feel, and you can perform and you can physically do things, it doesn't mean you're healthy. It means that one system of your body is working really well. Yeah. But what about the digestive system? What about the lungs and respiration? What about the brain? And we know at the end stages of life, for those that have cognitive decline, Alzheimer's patients are usually pretty fit for their age. Their muscles are working fine. They've got their muscle function great. It's their brain system that's gone. So don't get fooled, anyone, that when one system of the body is working really well, that you are healthy. Health is an accumulation of all of our systems. I'll give you an example from my world. When I was 44, I was still doing triathlons and scoring in the top 10% of the 30 to 35-year-olds. So I was, walking tall, hey, I'm 2 divisions older than these guys and I'm in the top 10%. Way to go. All right. High five to myself, right? I was fit. And then I developed a cataract in my left eye. I said, what? That's like an old person disease. What is that from? And I asked the ophthalmologist. They didn't know. I had the surgery and I could see really well again. But they didn't know. So, well, it just happens. Well, no, it doesn't. There has to be a reason why this happened. So I started doing some research and I found a paper that talked about asymmetrical cataracts, meaning in one eye, may be from lead poisoning. And I said, oh, I don't have lead poisoning. What's that? Well, maybe I should check. So I checked and I had the highest lead level of anyone I've ever tested. And I've done hundreds and hundreds of provocative heavy metal tests. And I had the highest lead level of anyone. And I just looked at that test result. Oh, really? Wow. So I was born and raised for the first 8 years of my life in Detroit, across the river from the Ford Rouge River plant, the assembly line, the largest assembly line Ford had at that point in the early 1950s was on the Rouge River in Detroit. And we were right across the river, 1 block over. And that's where I lived. So I'm riding my bike around every day, There was no Clean Air Act back in the early 50s. And the stuff that was spewing out of the smokestacks, I was inhaling that and exercise, a kid running around climbing trees and doing whatever we were doing, sucking that stuff in, it got deep in my system. 40 years later, it manifests as a cataract. And so that's why we want to always consider one system of your body that's working really well doesn't mean they're all working really well, right? Right, as in Autumn's case.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening for me. I looked great, but I was at home, anxious, breaking out, feeling sad, not knowing when and what I could eat or if I could go out to eat with my friends. And yeah, that's no way to live.
Yeah, no, not at all. Autumn, a question already came in from Stephanie. Does a paleo diet cut out dairy?
Hey, yeah, it does traditionally, right? If you're going by the book, yes, most forms of dairy will go. But I do know there's this primal movement. Some people are a little more lax with that and they have high quality versions of dairy, some people. What do you think, Dr. Tom?
Well, the answer to, Teresa's here from Ireland and JC, Pennsylvania. Jalen's here from Regina. Connor's here. Hey, Connor, glad to see you're here. Dr. Connor LaValle is in outside of Chicago. What's the town? St. Charles. St. Charles. Good doc. Anyone in that area that wants to see a good chiropractor. Becky's here from Canada. Hi, Becky, and many others. So what do I think? Can I eat dairy on a paleo diet? Well, the question, can I eat dairy, period? The answer to the question is, I don't know. Ask your immune system, right? And now, for the first time in history, remember, the immune system is here to protect you. It's your armed forces. It's your Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. We call it IGA, IGG, IGE, IGM. And if it's there to protect you, if it gets activated fighting dairy, don't eat dairy. It's not a mistake of your immune system. Or if it's activated fighting lectins, don't eat lectins. And you've heard me say before, those that have been here before, there's a really good book came out a couple of years ago called The Plant-Based Diet. And my only problem with that book is that the doctor says that no one should eat lectins ever. And I disagree with that wholeheartedly, that no one should eat lectins if your immune system says you got a problem with them. Yeah. But tomatoes are a food that's been around for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Well, wheat's been around for 10,000 years. So that argument doesn't work. But if your immune system, and if you have an adequately functioning immune system, and we know how to check for that, and your immune system says, no, there's no problem with tomatoes. No, the lectins, oh, look, you got a problem with potatoes, but not any other lectins, then in my opinion, it's okay to eat the other lectins. I'm going to trust my immune system as long as the immune system is functioning normally. So, Autumn, what is the basic premise of a paleo diet? What's the platform ideas behind it for those that don't know?
Yeah, basically it's just returning to the diet before industry and what we were eating before agriculture. So basically fruits, vegetables, some say lean meats, other people are more welcoming to really, really high quality versions of fat, but basically just eating food that your grandmother would recognize. Mm-hmm. But again, outside the paleo movement comes, again, that customization, that individualization that Dr. Tom always talks about too. And so I think it's opened up and you can go beyond that. But the very basic premise is just eating whole foods.
So it's
no grains and no dairy. That's important too.
Yeah. So it's not that you're eating like a turkey leg every day and big hunks of meat and stuff. There's meat in the diet, quality protein in the diet, but it's not that we're becoming voracious meat eaters, or is it?
No, I think it's very individual. Like my husband and I both, do the paleo thing. He needs a lot more animal protein than I do. I do like 50% of my plate is always, high quality vegetables and a little fruit. And then just a little, like a quarter of it is protein and then a high quality fat.
Oh, high five to you, girl. High five to you. That's what we talk about all the time, right? Half the plate should be the rainbow diet of fruits and vegetables. Exactly. The deeper the color, the more polyphenols are in the vegetables that you're choosing, and you alternate them around every day. And that's a critical component. And root vegetables in there. Everyone knows who's been following these Facebook Lives, root vegetables for the fiber that are the prebiotics, because when you take wheat out of the diet, 78% of the prebiotic in the Western diet comes from wheat. So when you take wheat out of the diet, which is a good thing, and if you don't replace it with other prebiotics, root vegetables, what happens is the good bacteria start dying off, and a few months, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months down the road on a gluten-free diet, all of a sudden you're not feeling so well anymore. And it's because the good bacteria have been starving and the bad bacteria rearing their ugly heads up. So always include root vegetables. Every day, at least 1 or 2 root vegetables every day.
Love that.
Stephanie has a question here. I have hypocalcemia post-parathyroidectomy, and I have found it nearly impossible to completely cut out dairy. Really good point. In your situation, Stephanie, because of surgery you've had, it's difficult for your body to absorb calcium, and so you're finding that you may need high quality sources of calcium to get enough. I'm assuming you tried supplements and you're not getting enough there, and so you're using some dairy. The question that I would have, if I were working with you, I'd still want to check the dairy Zoomer. Those are the blood tests that are highly sensitive and accurate to see, is your immune system fighting dairy? Because if it is, now it may not be. It may be that your body's taking dairy in well and you're utilizing it well. But if you are fighting dairy, then there's going to be a effort to transition down to lower dairy and increase calcium levels in another way. And that's working with a functional medicine practitioner to find out if you need to do all of that. But it sounds like you're checking your blood calcium levels on occasion to identify you're still low calcium, which is good for you. You're using a biomarker to determine what do I need to do here. That's a really good idea. So it's not what you think and it's not what you feel, it's what your body's telling you. So you're checking your blood calcium level, way to go on that. And you're saying, oh, you know, if I don't eat some dairy, my calcium takes a nosedive. That may be the case, and it may be that you may need a little dairy, but if you're making antibodies to dairy, then we have to find out how do I minimize the complications of the antibodies to dairy? And that's something that you need a functional medicine practitioner to work on to really dial that one down. So Stephanie, as you, Autumn, as you built your company a few years ago and you've been growing ever since, how do you source your product? That's a question that people always have in the background and some won't say it. So I'll ask that question. How do you source your products?
Oh my goodness. This is the big reason we wanted to start our company, because it all started with beef sticks, right? So I was doing a world tour.
Which I think are really great. I love your beef sticks.
Thank you for that. But we were, when I was traveling around the world, I had my husband bring me some grass-fed beef sticks that were just, you know, not ours, but something I thought was healthy because it said grass-fed. And so I ate them a lot on tour because we were traveling so much, and I started to get digestive issues. And so when I came back to the United States and we decided, you know what, we're going to make a company and we're going to start with a high quality protein snack, because I think a lot of women don't get enough protein. And I just think everyone could benefit more from having it readily available. And so I looked into the processing, and every company, all you have to do is label it and it says citric acid. But what it really is it's not like lemon or lime that comes in and it's fresh and it preserves it. It's usually made from GMO corn covered in hydrogenated oil. And then these little pellets melt into the beef stick to drop the pH. So that's the industry standard. And I could not stand that. I just knew that there had to be a better way. And so what we did was start with 100% grass-fed and finished beef, which we can get into, but it's also regenerative. And so we're on this big mission. We only source from American farmers using these regenerative practices. So as high quality as you can possibly get with the beef, of course, organic spices. And then all we do is ferment them naturally so that we can avoid the use of encapsulated citric acid and any other weird preservative. Now, we had to call hundreds of manufacturers because nobody wants to ferment beef sticks because it takes a really long time and it's not lucrative. But we really pressed on one in particular, and they were willing to take this adventure with us. And so that's the beef sticks. But from there on out, like our whole line is just dedicated to it's all organic or sourced properly and also good for the environment. We just do not cut corners because, you know, in a lot of times in manufacturing, as you get to be an older company, you realize you can cut small corners and just make little changes to the product and save yourself some money. But we will never be that company because I eat these products. My 5-year-old eats these products. My husband eats these products. And it's that important to us. Every ingredient for us matters. And we're actually called the ingredient snobs.
Ingredient snobs.
Yeah.
That's great. And be proud of it. That's really great.
We are. It matters to us. So, yeah.
So for everyone out there, this is the kind of company that we want to support and make sure they do great in the world because they're a model. For those of you that are not familiar with regenerative agriculture, I heard an interview with my friend, Dr. Mark Hyman, last July, I think it was, June or July. No, it was a year and a half ago, interviewing this fella about regenerative agriculture. It turns out, as most of you have heard me say or read in my books, we all know that the health of the microbiome in our guts determines the health of our body. That the microbiome has its hands on the steering wheel of our lives. It's called modulate. That's the geek term for it. And what it means is the microbiome steering the car in the direction you're going, steering our body. Now just turn the steering wheel 5 degrees to the right, 100 yards down the road, you're off the road. And that's what happens in our microbiome with our brain function, with our heart function, with our liver function. Well, it turns out, and some have known this for decades, others have just learned it, is that the microbiome of the soil has its hands on the steering wheel of the health of the planet, of the entire planet. And what happens when you're using insecticides and pesticides and glyphosate, you kill the microbiome of the soil. And when you kill the microbiome of the soil over time turns to dirt. Things don't grow in dirt. They don't grow. I used to love and had some land in Molokai in Hawaii. And one time some friends asked if I wanted to go on a pig hunt with them. I said, yeah, fine, let's go. And I said, where's your rifle? I said, oh, brother, we don't need no rifle. I said, okay, whatever, okay, I'm in. And the dog's in the back of the pickup and we drive up into the mountains, we off the road, off the dirt road, into the grass, bouncing around up in the mountains. They knew where they were going. And so we stop, drop the tailgate, the dogs jump out and take off, and we follow in the direction of the dogs, and we hear a ruckus not too far into it. And they said, they got one. We start running, and we come into this area, and there's this maybe 350-pound boar, one of those big, ugly things, with the teeth coming out, going down, and a big, ugly thing. One dog has its nose on the snout of the boar, the other dog on its tail, and the boar is trying to fly him off, and the dogs won't let go, that they're trained for this. And my buddy, he pulls a Bowie knife out from under his shirt and his back, and he jumps on the boar's back and he cuts its throat. And I go, whoa, you the man, right? And they dressed that boar right there, and then we hauled it out, over our shoulders. Why am I telling you all that? Because there was going to be a luau, and we went to get the pig for the luau. Why a luau? Dole Pineapple had closed their operations on Molokai 10, 15 years beforehand, so unemployment was really high. It was a very poor island. And someone had come in from Brazil and bought up all the land from Dole Pineapple, because Dole Pineapple went further into the South Pacific where the labor was cheaper. And so Molokai in Hawaii was high rate of unemployment. This company from Brazil came in, bought the land, and the general manager was coming to the island. So they were doing a luau for this guy. So I meet him, and nice guy, speaks English very well. And I said, well, thank you so much. I'm glad you guys are coming. You'll bring some employment. Yeah, we're going to need lots of people. So this is a perfect place for us. And, the soil is perfect. It's completely dead. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, they've been doing pineapple crop after crop after crop after crop for years, and they never replete the soil with boron or magnesium or iron. All they put in there is NPK, the sodium, potash, and potassium so the plants will grow, but no magnesium or nothing else. So the soil is completely depleted. So we can control the environment. And I said, what are you going to grow? And he said, coffee. And I said, coffee? Doesn't coffee grow on shaded slopes on the sides of mountains, like under a canopy of big trees? He said, yes, but we developed these plants in the laboratory. We genetically changed them. This was 1990. We genetically changed them so that these plants will grow in the hot sun all day long. And they'll have more caffeine, more volatile oils, much stronger coffee. As a matter of fact, there's an American company that wants to buy all that we can produce. You should buy stock in this company. It's called Starbucks. And I didn't, but Starbucks coffee was the first genetically modified food on the market.
Whoa.
People aren't addicted to coffee. People are addicted to Starbucks because of the volatile oils and the tannins and the caffeines that are so much higher concentration. But anyway, that's an example of the soil that was pretty close to dead. And I'm going to do one more example of this that I learned from Mark's interview with whatever that guy's name was, is that the World Health Organization came out 3 years ago and said, we have 60 growing cycles left in the world. 60. Why? Because the soil is all converting to dirt, and you can't grow anything in dirt. So that means we have 57 now, 3 years later, 57 growing cycles left. And then you can't grow crops anymore. This is like, holy cow, how do I hold that information? What do I do with that? The answer is just like building your microbiome, you rebuild the microbiome of the soil. That's called regenerative agriculture. And we always want to support our farmers. For all of you that go to farmers markets, you buy your produce, just ask the people that you're buying from, are you organic? Oh, no, it takes a whole lot of rigmarole to get to organic, but we don't use any insecticides or pesticides. And a lot of farmers give you that answer at farmers markets and co-ops and things. No, we're not certified organic because of all the rigmarole, but we're doing everything. Then just ask them this question, and then you'll know. How are you regenerating the soil? And if they go, oh, you asked. Well, we don't till because tilling kills the bacteria in the soil. So if they start talking to you with their eyes open that somebody's interested, you found a good source for your fruits and vegetables. That's the way to know that we all need to be supporting regenerative agriculture. Because in the interview that Mark did with this scientist, you regenerate the soil, it completely reverses the greenhouse effect. It would take about 10 years in regenerating soil and will reverse all of the damage that's been done, or most of the damage that's been done. Will stop the degeneration, will stop the forward movement of the air pollution and the radiation penetrating through our outer layers by regenerating the soil. So here we have a company, and you can see in Autumn's eyes just how sincere she is. When would we not support this company? And so I'm saying to everybody here, we'll put a link in here, just click on it and, try their products. See if your kids like them. Autumn, let me ask that question. Which products does your 5-year-old like? And which products should parents try with their kids first?
Okay, I can't wait to get to that question. Can I add one thing on the regenerative piece?
Please.
I don't even know if you know about it, but we've actually started another business, and it's called Wild Pastures. And that was because after my son Maverick was born, I became acutely aware of this degradation of our environment. And something that really was a light bulb moment for me was when I realized that a lot of people today are looking for sustainable products, but we cannot sustain where we are. And so I think those efforts are so important and valuable. But we've been degenerating for a really long time. And so if we're going to reverse it, we need to think beyond sustainable and to regenerative. And so what we did was we do a meat delivery service where we deliver boxes of meat, much like Butcher Box. But the only problem is, or the only difference is, all of this farmers and ranchers are using regenerative principles, meaning they're beyond organic actually, because organic is a great start, but it's not always measuring those ecological outcomes that are so important to really know whether or not these practices are regenerative. And so then we just deliver them to people's doors at wholesale prices, because I'm a holistic nutritionist too. And I would tell people, okay, you need to be, choosing high quality animal products. And they were telling me I can't find them. They are too expensive. And so we wanted to just eliminate those factors. And we think that if we can get enough support, like we can really put a dent in the factory farms and, a dent in the carbon in our atmosphere.
Marvelous.
Turn it back to the soil. So that's our other business. That's wildpastures.com. You can check that out. But for my 5-year-old, okay, the products I use for him, every day we do a wellness tonic, first of all, because especially given the time, we have the most potent natural vitamin C on the market, and it's not ascorbic acid. Not that I'm against ascorbic acid, but I just want for daily preventative use an organic food-based source. So it's amla berry, which is a famous berry in Ayurvedic medicine, camu, and unripe acerola cherry. And because it's unripe, it actually preserves that fragile vitamin C content, and it contains 100 times more vitamin C than an orange. So I take that, I just open one capsule and put like a drop of monk fruit in a little water. And so we take that every morning. It just keeps him feeling awesome. And then also our beef sticks. Like I said, they're fermented. So they could be one of your fermented foods, and they're really, really high quality. And they come in teriyaki. My 5-year-old's obsessed with the teriyaki, but other children also really appreciate the summer sausage because they're not super flavorful. They're kind of like those hickory smoked summer sausages that you get around Christmas time. And they got a little snap. So they're not going to like tire anyone's jaw out. They're just really soft and moist. And then we also have, a smoky peppery, that's the original, and the jalapeno, which is better for adults, and a garlic summer sausage. So the beef sticks and the vitamin C are in his diet daily. Poor kid, I make him take a wellness tonic at night where I open a capsule of our organ complex. He's going to be so mad at me one day when he realizes that.
I'm sorry, your what complex?
Our organ complex.
Organ complex.
Yeah. So we do beef liver, all from grass-fed animals, of course, and kidney and heart. And we put them in capsules because when I was pregnant, I was just, no matter what I did to the organs, I could not stand to eat them. And so we do that at night. I give him a little bit of the organs and sometimes turmeric, depending on what's going on. And the other one I use daily is our bone broth protein powder. So collagen is, like the fountain of youth, basically. But something I don't think enough people appreciate is the glycine content has been shown in research to help us just kind of calm down. And I found that it does help him sleep more restfully, me as well. And there are trials around 3 grams of glycine in that it helps drop your body temperature so you can go to sleep faster and the quality of your sleep improves. And so I just make him a little mug of that and some almond milk, usually like organic, with a little vanilla, and I'll add like a drop of monk fruit, and he has his own little like bone broth tonic before bed too.
Marvelous. So do you have like a recipe book on your site of some of the ways to use your products?
Oh, for sure. We have a blog, and then we send out recipes every Friday. That will also be on the Paleovalley.com website. So
Marvelous.
Everything. You can sneak it in smoothies and also just in like little desserts for kids too. So yeah.
So for those that are not familiar and may have just gone, ooh, Oregon, what's that? That we've been raised, my generation and generations that came after me, there've been a couple, that we eat the ground meat or the steak of an animal, and we don't eat the organs. And ooh, my grandmother used to eat liver, to have that kind of attitude, right? But our ancestors knew that the power of meat and how it just brings more inner power to your body is in the organs. And it's, you have to source it properly so you don't get sick animal organs. But when you have a great source like Paleo Valley, absolutely, every single one of us, you want to regenerate a healthier body, you want more resilience. When I first came in practice, there was a common protocol of using organ meats in capsules with different conditions. You have a liver problem, take some liver capsules. It was called protomorphogens. And we used to do heart capsules and brain capsules before there was ever a problem with any of that. And now we know, I don't think I'd recommend brain capsules from beef to anyone now, unless the beef was from New Zealand, because there they don't have, the ranchers can't use antibiotics. Only a vet can give antibiotics. But here, in the US, ranchers buy antibiotics in 50-pound bags, and they're using it a lot. And that affects the quality of the meat. But when you have a grass-fed regenerative rancher, as Autumn is talking about, then you've got a safe source. And my favorite meat, some people here know that Marzi and I live in northern Italy now, for the last year and a half, but we've not been there since early February because of what's currently going on. So we're in Costa Rica right now. But 2 weeks before we left, I finally found a grass-fed, organic rancher in our area, and I bought they're about to harvest an animal. And I said, I'd like the heart. And I'd like the same weight in ground meat of the same animal, grind it together, the two of them, and put them in 1 pound packages wrapped for the freezer. So he looked at me, and we had to translate it a couple times. And he said, then he said, and when I translated, I looked up and I started laughing. He said, "You're that crazy doctor from US, aren't you?" Right? I said, yes. Va bene. Okay. And I got 25 packages of 25 1 pound packages of a 50-50 heart ground meat mix. And it makes the best hamburgers and the best meatloaf and the best taco meat, because heart has the highest amount of mitochondria, that's the furnace inside every cell of your body, of any tissue in the body. And it tastes like really great ground meat. It doesn't taste like liver or organ meat. It's when you mix it 50-50, ground meat and heart, it tastes like really, it's like the difference. When you have a really nice filet, that quality taste of meat that you're getting, that's what this tastes like. So here we have high quality beef that's being sourced for us. And I'd suggest everyone, Eddie will post the link here for you so that you can give an initial order. Just try some of this. And if you have kids, try some of the things that Autumn was just saying. And if you're adults, then try some of their other products. Unfortunately, because I'm in Costa Rica, I can't get any of your sticks right now. So I've got to wait until we get back. And we'll go back to Italy, but then I come to the US to lecture a lot, and so I can pick up some stuff and bring it back.
Yeah, we'll send it wherever you are. Just let us know.
That's really nice of you. We got a question here from Mary. Dairy, as in butter from France with A2 casein and pasture-raised eggs, not just free-range or cage-free. Thoughts? Ghee, only coffee, no other dairy, and don't miss it at all. Okay, I think you're saying, Mary, that you use ghee, but no other dairy. Great, way to go. Autumn, do you have any comments on this one?
She's just wondering about A2 dairy, whether or not it's a problem.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's probably dependent upon who you are. I know there's research. Dr. Felice Jacka, my big passion is the link between diet and mental health. And she's actually doing a project or a study to see if A2 dairy has any negative impact on your mental health. I think that it's still ongoing, but it does look like it might. And so I don't think that you can say that across the board, but I do think that for certain people, it could definitely be an issue.
That's a good answer. Thank you. And my answer to you, Mary, is ask your immune system. Do the dairy zoomer. If your immune system says you got a problem with dairy, then you've got a problem with dairy. And in terms of ghee, the people who cannot even have ghee are those that have antibodies to milk butyrophilins, because the butyrophilins are the protein around the membrane of the fat molecule. So if you're making antibodies to the fat molecule, then you can't have ghee. But if you do not have elevated antibodies to milk butyrophilins, ghee's fine. We use ghee most every day. And it's because I check Marzi and myself to see. And we don't have a problem with the butyrophilins. Becky said, this is off subject, but Becky said, I'd love to do the study. We're in Canada. Are we eligible? The answer is yes, Becky. Just go to theDr.com/LPS. I'm doing a study right now, everyone. I think I talked about it last week, or maybe I didn't. I don't know. I don't remember. But we're doing a study. I was just interviewed, and Autumn, I think you'll like this. I was just interviewed for the Keto Summit by the Paleo FX people, Keith and Michelle. And because I'm the only one that was interviewed that's talking about the downside of a ketogenic diet. And this goes for paleo also if you're doing a high-fat paleo diet. That the only danger that I know of, or a important concept to know about is we absorb our fats right through the cells of our intestines, not in between the cells. The fat molecules go right through the cells. It's called transcytosis, through the cell. Parasitosis means between the cells. Proteins and sugars go between the cells. And that's the tight junctions of when they don't work well, that's leaky gut. But many of you have heard me talk about the Panama Canal concept, that the gates of the tight junction open, food comes in, the gates close, the immune system checks it out. Then the next gates open, the food goes down a little further between the cells, the gates close, the immune system checks it out. That's between the cells. But fats are absorbed through the cells, whole different mechanism. And what happened is called lipid raft transcytosis. Lipid, fats, raft, like a boat, transcytosis through the cell. So this toxic crud called LPS, lipopolysaccharides, which comes from gram-negative bacteria, it's the exhaust of the bad bacteria that gets in our gut all the time. That exhaust piggybacks on fat molecules and goes right through the cell into the bloodstream. So if people are going to do a high-fat diet, they are by far going to be increasing LPS getting into their bloodstream. It could be a minuscule amount, or it could be enough to take them over the edge. So what is a problem with LPS that gets into the bloodstream? This stuff accumulates in the body. If your detox systems can't get rid of it, it accumulates and accumulates and accumulates for months and years and years and decades and decades. You get more toxic, more toxic. That's why your grandparents smell bad, is because they're full of crud. They're full of 60 years of crud in their body. And the end stage of this, and we're seeing it right now with this current virus that we're under, these people whose lungs get all filled up, it's called sepsis. And sepsis is what kills these people. And sepsis, 1 out of every 3 elders that die in the hospital die from sepsis. And sepsis is just accumulated LPS over decades that's been in your body, all this crud. So why am I telling you all this? Because if you have elevated levels of LPS right now in your bloodstream, you can't do a high-fat diet. You've got to clean this crud out of there first, recheck and make sure that the bloodstream's okay, then go do keto or go do paleo or go do any high-fat diet you're going to do. But people don't think about this because this LPS accumulation takes decades. But 1.7 million people last year were diagnosed with sepsis in the US, and 250,000 of them died from sepsis. My mother died from sepsis in 2012, and that's when I really dialed this one down. So I'm intense about this because this will kill you, but it won't kill you quickly unless you get a virus that causes an escalate and a cytokine storm. But the cytokine storm is attacking also all of that bacteria that's been building up in your lungs for a decade or 2 or 3 or more. So we're doing a study right now. We've just launched it. You can learn about it at theDr.com /LPS. And yes, if you're in Canada, you're eligible for the study. So excuse me for that little diversion, but this is really important. We're going to take the first 250 people. And I made the announcement on 4 days ago, and I think we've got about 85 people that have responded so far. So there's some room in the study right now. KD asked the question, I eat paleo, been working out on gut and detoxing with a naturopathic doctor for my autoimmune issues with thyroid. I don't use chemicals because I'm chemically sensitive. Therefore, I've been wearing N95 masks when I go in stores for the past 2+ years. My problem is I've been having vertigo lately and don't know what is setting it off. Do you have suggestions on what to look for to find the root cause for why I'm getting vertigo? Okay. That doesn't quite relate to Paleovalley, but let's do the question.
Yeah.
you have to find the trigger that's causing the inflammation. Work with a functional medicine practitioner that knows how to look for inflammatory triggers. It might be mold, it might be wheat, but if you're eating paleo, sounds like you're not eating wheat. It could be chemical sensitivity. There's chemical panels you can do to find out what is your immune system fighting? Where is this coming from? It could also be structural. It easily could be the need for a chiropractor. I've had many cases over the years of reversing vertigo pretty quickly, sometime within 2 days for a couple of people, and I think a few weeks for most of the people. Or it could be electromagnetic. You know, if you've read my book, which I don't see here right now, you can fix your brain. You know, there's 4 different categories you have to look at for any health problem. You have to look at structure, biochemistry, emotional or spiritual, and electromagnetic. It might be there's a smart meter outside your house and that's causing the vertigo. I've had 2 patients that were having arrhythmias, and just the process of elimination got down to the question, do you have a smart meter outside? I said, yeah, get rid of it. Or go stay in a hotel for a week. Either one, either get rid of it or go stay in don't go back to the house, and make sure there's no smart meters in the hotel that you go to, and see what happens. And for both of them, their arrhythmias were gone within a few days when they got out of that environment. So electromagnetic may be it. You just have to find someone. I mean, you're welcome to work with our team at theDr.com. We have consultations at theDr.com. They're all trained in how to deal with this. They're really the best. They're really good. Or work with your healthcare practitioner. Okay, Antoinette says, my grandfather had a cattle farm. He sold the meat, but our family ate the brains, heart, liver, and lung. Absolutely, your grandfather was a smart guy, because that's where the power is in the animal. For those of you that have seen the movie, Autumn, what's that movie with Kevin Costner? Dances with Wolves.
Yes, yes.
Right? When they're doing the buffalo hunt and they kill the buffalo and they cut it open, what is it they grab right away, right? They grab the liver, and then here they hand it to him, and he takes just this little nibble off and all the Indians say, yeah, way to go. All right, you're going for the meat. That's where the power is. But that's where the power is in the animals, is in the organ meats. And if you have clean animals to work with that you can source and feel comfortable with the source, like Paleovalley meats, you know, next time you need to order meats, for Marzi and I, like I did just now in Northern Italy, we got 25 1 pound, I think it's 22, 1 pound, like freezer wrapped packages of this ground meat. And whenever I think about it, my mouth starts watering. You know, oh, I'd like to have one of those burgers right now. You just, when you eat meats and you feel good afterwards, you know you found something really great. And Autumn, in terms of your meats, do you have a whole variety of meats like steaks and ground meat and things like that?
Yeah, for Wild Pastures, we definitely do. We have ribeye, and we have grind, and we have pastured chickens, and we have pork. And so we have a whole variety. And the cool thing about it is you can go and kind of customize your own box. There are beef and chicken boxes. There's beef, chicken, pork boxes. And so it's really kind of just up to you and your family what it is you enjoy. And so you can totally customize that. And can I share one fun fact about organ meats that I just learned that I think the audience might like? Is that in 1934, there were 3 physicians who got the Nobel Peace Prize for discovering that liver was actually able to reverse anemia. I'm sure you might be aware of this, but
no,
it was Dr. Whipple and Minot and Murphy. And the reason they believe that this works is because there's not a ton of iron, but that doesn't matter when there's this synergy between the retinol and the copper and the iron all working together to keep your blood levels normalized. And that's the one thing I hear from people time and time again about organs, is that they just feel invigorated and they feel like this new sense of energy. And so I just wanted to share that for anyone who might be tired and just feeling kind of low. It might be something. That's
really great. That's really thanks for doing that. And you know, I grew up and my mother would make liver and onions every once in a while, and I just didn't like what she did with it, you know. But when Marzi and I got married, one of her favorite foods is a liver pate. And so my response was, oh, liver. No, I'm not into liver. That's all for you, honey. And so she made some one time, and I said, you know, that kind of smells pretty good. Do you mind can I try some? And it was really good. It was really good. So you can find ways, and there are recipes at Paleovalley on how to do some of this stuff. It's a power food. Good quality meats are power foods, and the organ meats are the most powerful of the meats. And so if you've got good quality sourcing like Paleovalley, and you deliver all through the US, is that correct?
Yeah, we don't deliver organs. Our organ meats are actually in capsules because I couldn't stand the taste. And so we don't yet have organs for wild pastures. But if you're talking about wild pastures, we launched in Denver. So anywhere Denver and 2 days shipping. And we just set up our second warehouse in Arizona. So we're about ready to open up all of the kind of like Southern California and up. And we are not yet on the East Coast, but our next goal is to be in Atlanta, which would open that up. And then eventually in the Pacific Northwest. So
marvelous. So if they go to your site, will they be able to determine what they can order?
Of course. Yeah, that's if you go to wildpastures.com, you can find all those details. You can put in your zip code, they'll let you know, and then you can totally customize your box from there for after that. And if you want the products like the organ meats that are in capsules and the bone broth protein and the beef sticks and the vitamin C, that's paleovalley.com. And we actually created a coupon code for your listeners. It's just the Dr. DR10. So you can get an additional 10% off.
Oh, marvelous. Thank you. So that code is the DR10?
10. Yeah.
Okay. And Eddie, you'll post that so people can see it there in the posting. That's really fabulous. Autumn, are there any other points that you wanted to bring up about your company or your products or the benefits of your products for people to try?
The only product that I haven't mentioned thus far is our apple cider vinegar complex. And I know you're big. I've been listening to your coffees with Dr. Tom. You're big on longevity and looking at the blue zones. And so my apple cider vinegar complex came out of my desire to live as long as possible. And so I created this morning concoction with like turmeric and ginger and Ceylon cinnamon and lemon. And I was drinking it every morning and feeling great. But when I started working with people and became a mom, I realized that making that every morning, it wasn't happening. And so I put them all into capsules. And so I just wanted to share that because our apple cider vinegar complex helps keep, your glucose levels more stable. There's research around that. And for cravings. And of course, the turmeric's great for an anti-inflammatory. And what I found out from a dentist friend of mine is like, I was kind of telling everyone they should drink this. And she contacted me saying, you shouldn't be telling people that because apple cider vinegar can be hard on the enamel. So if you want to drink apple cider vinegar, that's great. Do it through a straw. And if you don't, then you can maybe try the complex. And so that's really the only product. Ooh, last thing. We used to have Superfood Bars, and they were the thing that people loved about us more than anything. 2 years ago, we had to pull them from the market because our manufacturer couldn't keep up with the quality control. And so what we did was we opened our own facility. And so we now have our own bar manufacturer, and we are launching the bars. They're back finally in about 7 days, I think. And we have chocolate. I just tried a pumpkin spice, which we'll have seasonally, a red velvet, a vanilla cake, and the flavor is amazing. So
wow.
Yeah, just know that that's about to make your life a whole lot better.
That sounds marvelous. Folks, if it were me, I'd order like one of everything to try it, or two. I mean, if it's you and your spouse, or order a couple things for your kids and let them try it and see if they like it. I can't speak highly enough about when you find a manufacturer like this, they're bootstrapped, boots on the ground. We're going to make a difference in the world, and we're only using the highest quality resources, and we aren't going to compromise. I want to make sure we all support them as best as we can, right? So try their products, and if you like them and then you're using them, when you're going to give a birthday gift to someone, give them a coupon to their site. If they've got coupons, I don't know, but support them any way you can, because it's these kind of companies we need to change the direction of the quality of our food supply on the planet. So I personally want to thank you, Autumn, for what you and your husband are doing. It's great. And I look forward to meeting you in person in the months to come.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the work you're doing and for letting me be here and for vocalizing your support. That means a lot to us because you're right, we are bootstrapping it and we're just doing everything we can. So we really appreciate your support.
That's really great. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.